Hello, everybody. Chris Kowalczyk here with VCU. I'm obviously the SID here. Some of you I know, some of you I do not. If you do need permission to record, please let me know in the chat and I will get you. We'll go with the NCAA format. So just, when I do call on you, please state your name and affiliation, and then we'll, as I said, we'll have AD Ed McLaughlin as well as Coach Mike Rhoades here shortly.
Hey, Chris, are they going to be here together?
Yeah.
Oh, and just because it's been such a shitty day, your hair looks fabulous.
I was waiting to shower until I knew we were going to play. So.
Well, the extra oil in it is good for it, so that's good.
Thanks, Hank. I appreciate you.
And there's a commercial break, or I'd tell you what the Virginia Ohio score is.
I haven't even looked, honestly.
I imagine you're kind of done with this tournament.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Mike and Ed in here. And then give me 1 second, guys, and we'll get underway here. Coach, I see you there. Ed, are you in here?
He is.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. I just have a few more joiners. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, guys. I think we have enough to get going here. Obviously, you guys have our statement, so we'll just go ahead and go straight to questions. Let's go ahead and we'll lead off. If you have questions for AD Ed McLaughlin, we'll start with Ed, and then we'll move on to Coach afterwards. Lane, do you have a question for Ed?
Yes, I do. Thanks, Mike, or Chris, rather. Ed, Lane Castellante, CBS 6 in Richmond. When did you guys all know? Can you give us a little bit of the timeline this evening or this afternoon of when you knew and how the news was broken, not only to you guys, but to the team as well?
Yeah, sure, Lane. Thanks for being on. So I talked with Dan Gavitt from the NCAA and Mitch Barnhart from the committee, who's the chair. I spoke with them about 6:25 p.m. tonight when they informed us that we would be they would declare the game a no contest, and we started making plans at that point, and then obviously it's moved pretty quickly since then.
Do you have a follow-up, Lane?
Yes. Obviously, you guys had known about the tests earlier this week. You still thought there was a chance, though, the game could be played tonight?
Well, we knew about the positives being confirmed today, and we were hoping through contact tracing that we would still be able to play tonight, but obviously that did not happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wayne Epps, go ahead.
Wayne Epps, Richmond Times Dispatch. Kind of off that last question, could you guys walk us through maybe the notification throughout the week? There's some reports out there. There was one on Wednesday, 2 more on Friday. And you mentioned, got those confirmed today. So what was the process like throughout the week of getting that notification and figuring out where things might stand for tonight?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I will say is that, we certainly had some understanding of positives within the last 24 hours. I really can't comment much more other than to say that, this has all happened pretty quickly in terms of the positives that we've had. And it's, I think that's probably what sets us apart from something like the situation in Virginia or in Kansas when they knew much earlier and they've been able to test negative since then.
So was the reason, I guess, were you told from the health department that because things were maybe spreading the way they were in the quickness that it was, that it just was too much of a risk to play tonight?
Yeah, certainly the feeling of the committee, from what I understand, what was communicated to me, I should say, was that given how we had a few happen within the short period of time right now, there was certainly concern not only for the rest of our team, but for the opponents and anyone else who be part of the game in going forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hank Kurz.
Hey, Ed, thanks for doing this.
I like your
So
background
last
there,
year,
Hank. It's,
everyone had this kind
I like
of,
the
thanks, man. It's
background.
Cape
Calm.
Cod. It's the best place on earth.
That's right.
So last year, everyone had their season end like this. This year, you guys are kind of the first ones. I guess Duke maybe. How hard is that to, the gut wrenching of the last 24, 48 hours, and then just to have it all confirmed today? How hard is that to stomach?
Yeah, I mean, we've had it happen to us now twice. If you remember, last year we got pulled off the floor right before we were supposed to play UMass, and now we have another one ripped away from us like this. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard for our student athletes. It's hard for our coaches who have worked so hard and done everything that we've asked them to do from a COVID protocol perspective. I want to make sure it's clear. This isn't something where our team broke protocol and did the wrong thing. This is we don't know how this happened, but it certainly wasn't because bad behavior on our side whatsoever. So it's brutal. It's the only way I can describe it as brutal. After I got off the phone with Danny and Mitch, I called Mike, and obviously he can tell you the tone of my voice. It's just, I'm heartbroken for our student athletes, and I'm heartbroken for our coaches and everyone who worked so hard for this. So probably best to leave it there.
Thanks, Ed.
Nancy Armour.
Thanks, Hank.
Hi, Ed. Thanks for doing this. Can you confirm how many people or how many of your players have tested positive? And do you have any idea of where this might have stemmed from? I mean, is it possible that it could be going back to the tournament last weekend, or do you have any indication of where this outbreak started?
Sure. Thanks, Nancy. So, we can't confirm the numbers. I will say we had enough student athletes to be able to play. Based on the NCAA saying you needed 5 student athletes to be able to start a game. We had plenty to start the game. And beyond that, we really can't tell how it started. I mean, it's just, it's impossible at that point to figure it out. But we got here Sunday night from the A10 championship game, and have been in quarantine ever since we got here, and have tested negative all the days leading up to this. Daily tests that we started before the A10 tournament started a few weeks ago. So.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nancy.
Pete.
Ed, Hey, Ed, and maybe this question's a little bit Pollyannish going through everything that you just said, but is there any takeaway, any advice you would give to others? There's obviously, a couple dozen teams left in this tournament that are going through the same things you did. Do you have any regrets, anything you do different, or anything you'd pass on?
No, thanks, Pete. It's a fair question. I mean, in looking at it, it's more, I just shake my head to think we did the right things all the way through. And I wouldn't do anything differently than we did it. So if anyone, would ask, hey, listen, how do you look back at it? Like I look back, we did the right things. I don't know if it's bad luck or what it is, but it's just terrible more than anything else. But I don't think there's anything we would change.
Adam Rittenberg.
Yeah, hey Ed, thanks for taking the time. You mentioned that you guys would have had enough players to play according to the NCAA. So was there any sort of understanding of the county's rationale or anything that you learned through that process of explanation that ultimately led to the decision to declare it a no contest?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So I think what we have come to understand with it is the multiple positives within that 48-hour window was what gave the health department folks cause for concern.
John Rothstein.
Hey, Ed, just curious right now, what is the plan moving forward to obviously return to Richmond, but also obviously make sure that this thing obviously stays contained as best so there isn't a further spread here in Indianapolis? What is the game plan for that?
Thanks, John. It's a good question. So, we are trying to get the entirety of the travel party that hasn't tested positive. We're trying to get them home tonight. The other ones, we'll get them back to Richmond via land transportation and safely, obviously. And we'll then put them in isolation once we get them back to Richmond. And hopefully that will stop the spread of it. As it goes to the rest of the tournament or whatever, that's probably a question better suited for Danny or Mitch.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Wayne Epps with a follow-up.
Oh yeah, so I was wondering, can you confirm were these positive this week, the first in the program since this past summer? Is that correct?
Each positive first in the programs. Oh, you mean since the whole time we've been doing it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have not been shut down yet.
And then on the follow-up, has there been any, talk or any sense that maybe it could be connected to the Rogers Ayers positive from working the A10 title game this past Sunday?
Yeah, Wayne, I would hate to speculate any way, shape, or form of who had it, type of thing like that, or who didn't have it, or I'd hate to speculate with that. So, we're just kind of focused on moving forward at this point.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Are there any additional questions for Ed McLaughlin? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and move on to questions for Coach Rhoades. If you do have a question, please use the raise hand feature. And if you have problems with that, just go ahead and type it in the chat and I'll call on you. Lane Casadante.
Lane Casadante, CBS 6 in Richmond. Mike, thanks for doing this. I know this has been a really, really tough afternoon. Could you just tell us a little bit about, you talked earlier this week that you didn't want to have the conversation Tony Bennett had to have with his kids, but you end up having to have that conversation. Could you just tell us a little bit about how you broke it to him?
After I spoke with Ed, we just, we're on the 16th floor to JW Marriott, and we ate our pregame meal up here because they were still telling us we're in a holding pattern. And right after that, Ed called me, and then I got the assistants at the end of the hallway, and then we got all all the team in the middle of the hallway, and we just told them. And it was devastating. It was heartbreaking. Not a lot of no dry eyes. This is what you dream of as a college player and a coach, and to get it taken away like this is just it's a heartbreaking moment in their young lives. And you know, as I told them, it a lot of times in life it's not fair, and this is one of those times. And let's just, you know, we're gonna deal with this together. And we just we talked about it a little bit and went from there.
This is the second straight year you guys have had a season end off the court.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in your career that you've seen, player or coach, that can prepare you for dealing with young people like this.
No, I mean it's not what you sign up for, right? Nobody. But in the last year, you know, we're talking about 2 basketball games. You know, there's been over 500,000 deaths in this country because of this virus, and as devastated we are over a basketball game, 2 of them, right? There's a lot of people have it worse than us. And, you know, I remember almost a year ago that I was on the phone late at night with Justin Tillman because he lost both his parents. That was a lot harder talk than the one I just had. And that wasn't easy either, right? So, you know, it just stinks. I mean, there's no other way. I can't sugarcoat it. I feel awful for our guys. We had a great year. Man, even though we were a young team, they did things off the court the right way. I mean, they stayed away from their families. They were here. They didn't have much of a life except doing their classes and coming to the gym every day, but they wanted to play basketball. And then here we are. We get to the tournament. Nobody thought we would. These guys thought they were going to win too. They expected to win. They were excited. And this has been a crazy couple days in the last 24 hours. And the last 6 hours has just been heartbreaking.
Thanks, Mike.
Noah Fleischman.
Noah Fleischman, the Commonwealth Times. Coach, what was the message to your team when you had to tell them that their season was over?
No, pretty much what I said. I mean, I just, you know, I'm not one to sugarcoat it. So, you know, I went right to it. I just told these guys that, you know, we've had some other guys here recently that tested positive. You know, we thought we were still going to have enough to play, but you know, the county health department and the NCAA, the medical committee made a decision that we weren't playing. That you know, it was a no contest, and Oregon was going to move on, and we're done. And I said it like that, and then I just talked about, you know, a couple things within the program that, you know, when you go through stuff like this, the way you got to go through it is together, and we got to look after each other and take care of each other. And sat there with some of the guys. I went around up and down the hallway. Everyone's in their room individually, so I went in and made sure the guys, you know, they heard me and saw me and went from there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wayne Epps, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was wondering, how'd you handle, you know, the last couple of days? I know, you know, maybe those tests were unconfirmed up until today. So were you still able to practice as normal in the last couple of days leading up to today?
Yeah, you know, the crazy thing about all this, Wayne, is we had a great week. I mean, the guys were mad about how we played on Sunday against St. Bonaventure's. They had a lot to do with it. When we got here, they were bummed out Sunday. I told the guys, sit on it Sunday night, go to bed. When we wake up, it's about winning an NCAA tournament game. And then we had like a shoot around that was on Monday. That was awesome. It was one of my favorite days of the year. We got in the gym in one of the courts in the convention center. We just shot around and we started doing some shooting games, and the guys, I mean, they had the vibe and they were in such a good place and they were excited to be in the NCAA tournament. And then we had the last 3 days, we had really good practices. I mean, really good practices. Yesterday and Thursday were maybe 2 of the better practices we've had late in the year, and we were in a good place. And, you know, we with some of the things that occurred, we still responded the right way. And then, you know, we just had you know, the last 24 hours was just something we haven't gone through all year long. I mean, I commend the guys how they've handled this whole year, and, you know, here we are, and our guys were great all week. You know, they follow the protocol. They knew it. They knew how I am about that stuff, that you got to have self-discipline to continue to get through this COVID stuff. And the guys have done that. And we got stuck here in the last 24 hours. It stinks.
Then how will you handle, the coming days and weeks where you kind of give the guys maybe a chance to step away from basketball for a little bit and kind of get things together before you, maybe reach back out to them, or how are you handling the next couple of days and weeks after this?
Well, I don't have to reach back out to them because I never let them go, right? So that's, what we do when the season's over, we give them some time to get their bodies right. But, our guys, this group will probably be in the gym when we get back. But honestly, the guys that, have to quarantine, we got to make sure they're right and take care of them. We still, we have classes. We got to make sure we're doing our classes. Some guys have in-person classes. A lot of guys have the Zoom classes. We got to stay on top of that. And, we'll take some time here to get the bodies right. And then we'll jump right in the weight room with Coach Roos and get bigger and stronger. And everything, nothing stands still, Wayne. And we got to always continue to move forward. But being there for these guys, helping these guys through this process. And we have a lot of support at VCU to do that, to help these guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hank Kurz, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, I think it's fair to say that your relationship with your players is different and maybe deeper than a lot of coaches. And I don't know if you've considered this, but, what kind of things can you do to make sure that someone who may have contracted it and then takes responsibility for this in their own mind doesn't entertain that?
No, I mean, I'm already on top of that. This virus is out of our control a lot, right? And I explained that to these guys. A lot of communication, Hank, and you're right. I mean, I don't want to be their basketball coach. I want to be their mentor, and I want to make sure they have somebody in their life that maybe outside of their family they know they can count on forever. If they play for me and sweat for me, that's how I've always been. That's never going to change. Going through this craziness all year long, we've had a lot of talks with our guys and our assistant coaches as well, how to continue to get through this mentally and be strong. We have a lot of young guys that, have been away from their family for so long. No social life, right? This is what you don't sign up for college and not see anybody on campus, or no fans, anything, all this stuff. We just talk our guys through it, but you got to spend time with them, right? That's the most important thing. But there's no one person to blame, and we don't do that around here. We're all in this together. If it starts with anyone, it starts with me. And, I've been for the last couple of hours here kicking my head, what could we have done differently? And, but there's no one to blame in this, none at all.
In your mind, and maybe this is, I don't know, looking ahead too much, can this be a galvanizing thing for you? Not that you guys aren't tight already, but, 2 years that end like this in a row, can this be a galvanizing thing? Because technically everyone can play again next year.
Yeah, but one of our core values, Hank, is appreciation, and things like this occur. I hope it makes them understand why that core value is so important to me and to us, is to appreciate all the opportunities, because they can easily be taken away, like the last 2 years. So appreciate the time you have with your teammates in all parts of life, right? We take everything for granted. I think this virus has maybe put our feet on the ground a little bit. And like I said, as hard as this is right now, it's still a basketball game. The number one priority for me is to make sure our guys get healthy and they're always safe. That stuff is what I appreciate the most. And, it makes you realize that you can lose things. But this is, it's just a game. Reality of it is I just want to make sure our guys are healthy and they're going to be okay.
John Rothstein.
Hey, Mike, you've said obviously multiple times that you were in a holding pattern. When you obviously were going through today, when was the first time that you actually thought that the game wouldn't be played?
You know what? When we were waiting for them to make a decision, I was like, I felt pretty good because we had enough guys, right? Because as long as you have 5 guys, you can play. And John, I'll be honest, I was going up and down the hallway and saying, we're like a wounded animal. We're like a wounded animal. You don't want to play a wound, you don't want to go against a wounded animal. I was saying that. And when we had our pregame meal here on the 16th floor, John, you could see, even though like we're missing some dudes, the guys wanted to play. So I guess part of me just kept saying it's going to happen. This can't happen 2 years in a row. And then after the meal, we're just, as we're getting closer, I was like, man, come on. And, you're looking at that clocks in the room watching these games, and you're like, they didn't give us the green light yet. Like, what's the deal?
When did they tell you that the game might be in question? When did you first get that message?
Well, it wasn't in question as much as it was all about contact tracing, right? When we got retested today, it all goes back to contact tracing. And if you go through contact tracing with a team, there's tons of questions and then re-questions and all that. And we knew that would take some time, and every health department is different. So, we knew we just had to wait and see, and came back with some extra questions, and it sounded pretty good. And we're just sort of in a holding pattern, John. And then it kept getting a little bit longer and longer. When we got the pregame meal, I'm like, all right, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. But then when, Ed called me, I think around 6:20, 6:30, right around there. And I told the guys a couple of minutes later.
Adam Rittenberg.
Hey, Mike, thanks for doing this. I'm just curious. I know that they won't change the outcome, but would you like more of an explanation from the health department as to exactly why they weren't comfortable with you going forward, even though you had it, like you said, enough players to play?
No, Adam, because I'm not going to question medical people. That's their expertise. And look, this bubble's been unbelievable. We've been here a week. The planning and the way they put this together to get this tournament going and to try to get it all the way to a Final Four is pretty awesome. They have checks and balances. I will say this: no matter what time of the year, when you have multiple positives in a short period of time like we did, there's going to be issues. And I'm not just saying on a team. I'm going to say in general population, in a business, in a school, whatever it may be. And that was a concern of mine, and I understood that. But I'm not going to sit here and question anybody. I'm going to put all my energy into my guys and making sure they get right.
Darrell Owens.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Darrell.
Hey, last year obviously you had to deal with your seniors, having to let them know, hey, this is the end for them. Obviously this year they may decide to come back, but have you thought about what you're going to say to your seniors if they decide to not come back next year?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell them I love them and I'll always be here for them. When you get done playing for me, that doesn't mean our relationship's over. It only gets better. And that I take great pride in that. And that's something I've always wanted to be as a coach, is just not just their coach, but be a part of their lives as they continue on the greater things than just playing basketball in college. So they know that already. I'll sit down with them and spend a lot of time with them here as they finish up this spring and get them ready for the real world, or get them ready to come back.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions for Coach Rhoades? All right, guys, thanks for doing this on short notice. Again, we will not be making players available tonight, but if you have additional inquiries, you can reach out to me and we can go from there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.